Guys, if you don't have your snack ready, please grab your snack because we are going to gist, guys. So today, I've had it on my mind to share this. Not like really on my mind, but it's one of those things where I felt, okay, one of these days it would be nice to share so that people can, can learn and also just to share my story, right? So a lot of people don't know that I was actually in a relationship before I met my husband. But I don't think I should call that in a relationship. I'll call it an entanglement. Okay. Let me get serious now. So, 2020, I was coming back to Nigeria from the UK, right? I did over 5 years in the UK, by the way. And yeah, I don't have a British accent. I think as of September also 2019, there was this lady that reached out to me on YouTube, and she got to know that my high school. Inni, you're so cute. Oh my god. She got to know that I schooled in Nottingham Trent University. So as of 2019, she reached out to me and she was like, oh, I saw your video about schooling in the UK, and I'm coming to Nottingham Trent University and I would love you to just help me out, put me through, that kind of thing. So obviously I was one of the youth executives in Winners then, and I minus just being a youth executive, I was also very keen on making, like, telling people. It was almost like a thing where when students are resuming, it's almost like our harvest season, because you want people to come to your church, right? As a young person, especially then, you just wanted people, you wanted to have more members, you wanted people to be part of fellowship, because there are so many Christian groups, right? So I wouldn't really call it a competition, but it's that thing where you almost want your church to be the first point of contact, because a lot of times, if a church is your first point of contact, you are most likely going to just stay there for the rest of your course, right? But that's not even the main point I'm making. I need to shift this camera from your face. So this girl, obviously, she came in and I really introduced her, because already I had done over 4 years, and I had like a number of people that I was close to, people that I believed would help her settle in. So basically it was just me being my nice self. I was just excited to welcome this lady, right? And she was coming for her masters, and we became friends, not very close. It wasn't like we're best friends. It was just the kind of thing where she was coming to my church and it was just, yeah, that kind of thing. And I think a few months later, she now invites this other guy, and he came as a new person. We obviously, I think my youth leader, because then I was not the assistant youth leader of the church, right? And he came in, and usually most times when guys come like that, I most times give their number to my youth leader, who is a male, to call them, because especially as a lady, if you're a leader in church and you're single, it's important to be careful, because you meet people and they might have other interests apart from coming to church, and even if they come to church, you might want another thing from you. So it's just better to allow the guys take care of the guys and you as a lady take care of the ladies. That's what I believe anyway. So but that day our youth leader didn't come, so I just ended up calling everybody. So that's how this guy had my number, and yeah, that was basically it. We didn't talk. And so it was now when I was now about to leave in 2020 January, we now did like a get together for me, like a send forth. So I remember inviting this guy along with the girl, because I felt okay, both of them are friends, to be nice for them to be there, because then she was still getting used to the people there, and I just felt it would be nice for him to come along with her. But let's say I was already interested in the guy. Not really at that time. It was just no strings attached. I believe not like I was interested in anything else. So obviously I was going to Nigeria anyway, so I was just like, let me just let him come, since both of them are quite close, they are friends. So it's going to get me. Just hold your snack, your popcorn, because it's about to get interesting, guys. So I go back to Nigeria, and before then me and this guy had met each other in the bus before. We had met each other in the bus going to work, when I was going to work then in the UK, and we spoke for a while, just normal bus conversation, we chat, but not like it was anything frequent. But that day when we were being sent for, a lot of people said really nice things about me. One of the things he now got to discover was I was a Muslim before, and I was now very passionate about the things of God. We now got talking when I get back to Nigeria. When I'm in talking stage, right? And this guy was asking me out. After a while, he likes me, blah blah. And me, I just feel like, okay, it's the will of God. Okay, let me not be too Nigerian in this video, so that people that are not Nigerian, are not familiar with our Nigerian slang, to be able to follow the story. So obviously I was in Nigeria and he was now in the UK, and we're in talking stage. Oh, I like you. And in as much as I was very, very confused at that time, do you know the funny thing? I used to hear God But when it now came to that thing, it's like almost my emotions were already involved before I now started asking God to guide me. My emotions were heavily involved. I was already emotionally attached. I was already thinking about how me and this guy will get married. You know, a lot of things were coming to my mind, and it felt like the perfect thing because as at that time, it just felt like, you know, I was in my head, I was ready for a relationship. I wanted to move on with my life. I was just 21 when I came back. Yeah, I was born in 1998, so I was 2020. I was going to turn 22 that year. So we started talking when I was 21, and he was, I think, 8 years older than me. I can't remember. I think so because I remember he was turning 30. He was turning 30 that year. Yeah. So we got talking, and me, even if I was still confused, and I said yes to him. Why are you saying yes to someone that you've not even had the time to physically? Anyway, I know people do long distance, but to be honest, I didn't know what I was doing. To be honest, I didn't really hear God. I was just led by my emotions, and I didn't really understand the voice of God because I was now allowing my emotions. That is why it is very important that if you're in a talking stage with a guy, please don't be falling in love too quick. This thing they call feelings. Don't fall in love too quick. And this is not fall in love. In fact, even that statement, falling in love, just say I don't know. Me, I feel like saying you are in love. I love you, but fall in love, I don't care. But yeah, and I said yes to this guy, and our journey started. I'm laughing because now it's funny, but then I'm like, this guy. You know when you say I met my younger self for coffee, I would have told my younger self, avoid this guy. Avoid him. You don't have a future with him. Yes, you say yes because I won't have met her daddy. Yes, baby, I won't have met your daddy if I had married you, right? I know. Yeah. So we started. We started the journey, and next thing we're already making plans to get married. Like, see, I want to marry. It's funny now. I want to marry somebody I've not even got, like, physically. Hey, Jesus. So it started. There were a lot of red flags. One of the things that stood out to me was he would say things like, oh, if you are going out, for example, and I see a girl that is beautiful, maybe he has changed now, but as at that time, if you're going out and I see a girl that is beautiful, even if you're married, you know, I can just be like, babe, check out that girl, she's fine. Or see her shape, you know. I mean, I'm like, even if I'm a relationship novice, because that was my first relationship. That's why I say it's not a relationship, because me, the whole thing was like entanglement. Anyway, like in my head, I'm like, even if I'm not a relationship expert, but that sounds wrong. As a lady, like imagine now that I'm married, now my husband's like, babe, see that girl, see how she's fine. But I'm like, am I not fine enough? Ladies, talk to me now, you know what I mean. So, and now Sha continued relationship. Next thing, mind you, him and this girl were very, very close. Like this. Very close. And God in his definition, because in my head, if I don't see the time I asked him, like, are you sure you are not more than friends? So you guys are close. He said, no, we're just friends. She's like my best friend. She's like my friend. She's like my sister. Like a sister to me. So, I mean, while this guy had a guy in Nigeria. Anyway, we continued. And okay, let me be serious now. I feel like I'm playing too much. Okay, so we continued, and after a while, like I said, there were red flags that were coming up. Red flags, like, they kept coming up, and I was now confused because I knew that there was something missing. Like, this guy was already, in fact, I think he had booked tickets to come to Nigeria to see my people. I'll let her marry. Anyway, let me be serious. I know you guys have never seen this side of me, but it's because it is so funny to me now. Anyway, so we continued, and I said we continued so many times. So we had to come to Nigeria, and as at March 2021, I believe, yes, and I went to Canaan land. He didn't know that the reason I went for that trip, it wasn't just because I wanted the birthday retreat. I told him I wanted the birthday retreat, but I just wanted to hear God finally concerning this relationship, because we were planning to take it to the next level, right? And as at then, someone like there's an auntie to me, you know, she was already telling me, are you sure about this thing? Like, are you sure? Do you have peace? And to be honest, and I started to, her husband, this lady's husband, now introduced me to these sermons by Kit Moore, how to be led by the Spirit of God. And I started to, this scripture started to come strongly to my spirit that you have an anointing of the Holy One and you know all things. And in my head, now that I think about it, God was just basically telling me that you already know deep down that this is not it. So I went to Canaan Land. In fact, I booked flight all the way to Canaan Land. I was there for over a weekend. It didn't even take God long to speak to me, and he told me, arise and depart, but this is not your rest. Guess what I did, guys? I said, no, Lord. I feel like this is not. I was trying to argue to the point that this person I knew, I spoke to about taking the retreat. She knows Pastor David Oyedepo Jr. Man, Pastor David Oyedepo Jr. actually talked about this thing. And I was telling him that, sir, it's not like I don't want to end it, but I just feel like, God, I've invested my emotions. And Pastor David Jr., he looked at me and he was like, see, it was so really, God bless Pastor David. He was so calm. Like, when somebody is just like God, like, the person carrying so much of God, he was just so calm. It was not like that, think about your future. Is it not better for you to leave this relationship and you heal from your pain than for you to get married and for the rest of your life you have this feeling of, I made a mistake in marrying this person? Because then you're not now praying, oh God, I want to. Then you have to just manage, because except you want to divorce, which is not God's best for us, right? So he spoke to me and said, compare it. You have your whole life ahead of you. You're young. Better break this thing off and heal. Because if you're saying that this person is not really pulling you close to God, then you are not doing yourself good by now continuing, when you can break up, heal, and then have a beautiful future ahead of you. I can't remember how exactly, but it was along those lines. And he prayed with me and he just assured me that, you're going to be fine, everything's going to be fine. I go back to Abuja and I did not break up. Sorry, I don't know how I'm laughing. I continued though. I said my head was right. I said, I'm in love. I have found the love of my life. Anyway, I think it was that thing where I was scared to break things up, because I didn't know how it would be. I didn't know what to say. I felt really bad because he was noticing that I wasn't so invested in it anymore, because my heart was divided. And there are a lot of other things that made it obvious that this guy was a red flag to me. He wasn't, for me, this guy had a form of godliness, but he wasn't really spiritual, because there were kind of conversations we would have, there were kind of things we would say. The signs were there, but I was still very naive. At 21, 22, as at that time, I just turned 22, and honestly, it didn't feel like this was God's best for me, but I still continued feeling like, okay, to get better, I need to pray more, I need to be sure, blah, 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 blah. There are a lot of things that happened. In fact, the whole relationship was not looking like a virgin. I was losing weight. He would now say things like, oh, I'm not his best friend, da, 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 da. Mind you, he had now told me that he's going to this particular city, because he had now gotten a job, right? So he said he wants to go and, visit do some other things, that he will be staying with the girl. And I'm like, I'm not comfortable with that. Oh, don't worry, we are just friends, blah, blah, blah. I think things too serious. He would not tell me things like, oh, me, I'm too serious. I don't play, I'm not playful. All of those things. And to cut the long story short, he went and I think he stayed, I don't remember if he stayed with the girl, but it was that thing where I started to have that feeling like there's something more. And then I had a dream. And the dream, I saw him and this girl together. They were in the UK together. I think they even had a child in the dream, but I knew that it was a UK accommodation. And I believe God, because God speaks to me through my dreams. And I feel like a lot of times God speaks to me through my dreams maybe when it's very, very busy, like maybe I'm not really discerning and I have a dream, and maybe God expects me to pray about that dream and ask for revelation. But I just shrugged it off and said, maybe, I don't know what really happened to me there, but everything that comes, I will find an excuse for it. I'll find something to say that maybe it is this, maybe we can work it out, maybe this. So, but at that time, because I was confused, it was just written all over me. I was losing weight. I wasn't even looking like myself. On top relationship, any relationship that is stressing you, where you don't have peace of mind, it's not of God. I feel like we like to complicate this thing too much, where we say, oh, I'm praying, I'm trusting God, God will speak. Like, obviously, I know that there are every situation is different, but when you don't have peace, for me, it's an indicator. And when I say peace, I'm saying that when this relationship, there are some things that, for me, that are not so complicated, right, that you can just tell that this relationship, and I feel like it also has to do a lot with your spiritual maturity. If you are not someone that is spiritually mature and you will not be hearing God about other things, it's not a relationship that you not expect that the angel will just descend and speak to you. So develop your walk with God, so that when you want to now make decisions, not just marital decisions, but decisions generally, you're not led by the Spirit. You're not doing things because of your feelings or emotions. So that was how, I shrugged it off. And then another thing happened when I went for NYC. We're still dragging the relationship. As when I went to NYC in May. That's when I went to camp in May, right? We're still, dragging, managing, trying to see how it would work, but it wasn't working. And I remember one of Then I was in Copper's Lodge, NCCF, and one lady there was not like, this is my boyfriend. That's Yoruba people, they used to cheat because this guy is Yoruba, they used to cheat and all that. And I said, no, my guy is not like that. I was not even defending him. I was not telling him what the girl was saying, and she didn't say, just said something like, get ready, like, that's how we are, something like that. In his mind, he was joking, but I now said, babe, this thing doesn't really sound like, I was 2021, I was 22, sorry, 23 then. This thing doesn't sound like even if you think it's a joke, it's really not, funny. You understand? Even my sister said the same thing, that, you sure this guy, like, even this, my other auntie, this auntie that, I told you that, advised me to take a retreat and all. She was saying the same thing, that this kind of joke is not a joke, because if someone says something like that, as a guy, you say things like, babe, I can never cheat on you, or something like that. And then when I now told him, he now said, oh, that I'm not playful, I'm too serious, those are the issues he has with me. That was when I now told God, if you are not in this relationship, just make it clear to me. If I ever said it, that if I cannot scatter this relationship, let the thing scatter by itself. And it was that night, if I remember correctly, it was that night that he was kind of like, oh, he doesn't think he can continue. And to be honest, when he said it, I was even angry, like, I for break this thing since by myself. Because it was not like they served me breakfast. Meanwhile, I already knew that the relationship was not relationshiping. So that was how the whole thing ended. It ended in June, July, if I'm correct. I can't even remember. Maybe July. I remember when I got to Benue State, then was not telling me that, oh, you send money for me to put like a bed stand. So after the whole breakup, and I send money. That, oh, he just wants to do it, that I should not bother sending it back. Oh no. I got his account number and sent it back. Why are you trying to excuse me? Excuse you? I don't need your money. It's over. Anyway, deleted his number. All these things that girls say things like, oh, I broke up with him, but I still have his number. I still talk to him. Me, I don't know how you guys do your own, but personally, I feel like if you've broken up with somebody, the breakup, let it be final. So it ended. Guess what? This is where it gets interesting. September. This is my auntie, my friend, so-called friend, now messaged me and she was like, me and so and so are cutting. But the funny thing, even when this whole thing ended, everybody was surprised. Those close to me were surprised at the way I healed, because I think it's that thing where I already knew that it wasn't gospel, so I wasn't pained. Even if I was healing and blah blah blah, but it wasn't like that big of a deal, because I kind of knew that I dodged a bullet. As time went on, I knew that girl really dodged a bullet with this guy, because this guy wasn't it, to be honest. He wasn't it, and it wasn't gospel for me. That's the thing. I hope they're happy, because he say things like, oh, this, him and this person, they are best friends, blah blah blah. And this girl, I don't know, I think she broke up with the guy she was singing. I don't really, that's their life. But they are now together. I think last I heard, they have a child together, because they got married in February. So they started cutting in September, got married in February. But for me, it's not even like it happened so fast, because they have been friends. That was how my friend married the person she introduced me to. People are expecting that I'll be pained, I'll be hurt. But one thing is, I try to let my heart free from offense a lot. I hate carrying people in my mind. I rather tell you this is what you did and move on. And if it's not something I can confront you physically, I'll just pray and tell God to help me. You see my God say on my husband video, it was painful, but God, when I think about where I am now, it's not now, I'm not thinking of this guy and this girl, oh, what are they doing with their life? Oh, I am blessed. I'm a blessed woman. I have a very amazing husband. I have a very beautiful daughter. I have a beautiful life. My life is not perfect. Of course, there are things that I'm trusting God for, but my life is amazing. I don't look at another person's life and be like, hey, yeah, I should have ended up with this guy. I should have, if I married him, maybe by now. I am content with my husband. My husband is everything I want and more. My husband is not perfect, I'm not perfect. We are two imperfect people loving each other and loving God, and we are growing, we're learning, we are enjoying ourselves together. Anyway, but that's the story, guys. And they got married. When they got married, to be honest, there was this bit of, so this girl, like, I'm not trying to say that, it's not like I had those emotions, those feelings of, I think what even hurt me was the fact that I felt she could have just called me or something, not just send me text message. Obviously, I think she could have handled it a better way, but maybe she does the best she knew at that time. And for me, it was that thing where it was an awkward position for me, because she was still close to the people that I introduced her to that were also close to me. So it was kind of awkward. But I think what made it bearable was the fact that I was not in UK, so obviously it wasn't like I was seeing them or I would bump into them. Imagine bumping into them in the shop. Maybe I would have felt worse, but God helped me, he healed my heart. And I remember 2021, was that when they got married? Yeah, they got married probably February 2021. No, sorry, they got married in 2022. Yes, they got married in 2022 February. And I remember that season too, I was not in another talking stage. That one now ghosted me, guys. Hey God, I don't want to give up to. That one even paid me because I used to say something that guy, even if he did not marry, I was okay being his friend. Ghosted me, and it was at that point I was like, God, you see this relationship and marriage thing, I am not praying about it again. Anytime you give it to me, fine. If you don't give it to me, I will just trust you. I just want, at that point when you're like, God, I want you. And that period I was fasting. Not like I was even, nobody was leading. It wasn't like you're doing congregational fast, or it was just me just wanting to draw closer to God. And that period I just gave everything. So you just lay yourself down to God and you're like, God, I know that I desire this thing, but I'm not going to make it a prayer point anymore. I started to even pray for other people that were trusting God. My heart was free. My heart was free. My heart was free. I started just focusing on my God. That was the first time I conducted an outreach in Benue State, and souls were saved. In fact, when I think back, I'm like, God really used my pain and brought out purpose. And it was that year, October that year, I met my husband. I went for Apostle's birthday. In fact, I was supposed to go back. In fact, I already rented my accommodation in Benue State for another year because I planned to be an evangelist. I'll be going out, reach out to souls in Benue, but God had other plans. I went to Abuja for women prayer anniversary in August. September, I wanted to go back to Benue, and one of the pastors, she was like, Zuleika, she used to call me Zulia. She used to call me Zulia. I said, Zulia, I actually want to go back to Benue State now. Why don't you wait and celebrate Mama's 50th birthday? Apostle was turning 50 in 2021. Yeah. And so 2020, thank God. Apostle was turning 15 in 2022. Yeah, that was where I met my husband, because I stayed back in Abuja. Everybody knows how we met. If you've not checked the how we met video, I'll link it here because I don't want to start talking about that one again. Time has even gone. So that was basically how it happened. Just to encourage anyone here, if you've had breakfast before, if you've had a bad breakup, God has an amazing plan for you. Trust in him and put his kingdom first. Because when you put God's kingdom first, every other thing will be added onto you. God bless you. If you want more story times like this, tell me in the comment section. Or let me know what to be posting. If you want more story times like this, please tell me in the comment section. God bless you. Has even tried for me. Yeah, it's time to go. Like, share, subscribe. But that was it, guys.